Good morning. Welcome to another session on environmental impact assessment.
So we shall begin Unit 4, Environmental Management Plan. Course outcome, explain the Environmental Management Plan. Learning outcome, introduction to the Environmental Management Plan. Specific outcome, scope, goals, purpose, elements and importance of the Environmental Management Plan. So what is the scope of the Environmental Management Plan? It involves management and mitigation measures, institutional arrangements, implementation supervision responsibilities, monitoring and evaluation requirements, implementation schedule, training needs, budget, includes measures to consider during project implementation and operation, and provides actions to be taken to implement these measures. Goals of the Environmental Management Plan: develop procedures to implement projects mitigation measures and monitoring requirements. So the specific aims of an EMP is or the specific aims of the EMP are to provide auditable commitments to practical and achievable strategies and design standards, develop an integrated plan for comprehensive monitoring and control of the project impacts, ensure the community that the environmental management of the project is acceptable. So what we are doing in the environmental management plan is we are coming up with a plan that will help in mitigating the impacts or mitigating the magnitude of the impacts, right, on the environment, right? So for that, what are the goals, what are the aims that are involved is being mentioned here. Purpose of the EMP: minimize the negative impacts, enhance the positive impacts, ensuring environmentally sustainable planning, construction and operations management, reduce the problems and delays during project implementation, improve the overall project quality, and finally adding value to the project. So what does this EMP cover? First of all, it documents methods and procedures to achieve environmental objectives and targets of EIA. It identifies environmental performance indicators to measure progress towards achieving the targets and objectives. EMP is based on compiled information and data during the environmental screening or the EIA process. It summarizes the targets, objectives, and regulations. And last, it nominates the individuals responsible and gives target dates. Right, so that is who is responsible for this for the implementation of this plan and what are the target dates within which you need to implement it. Elements of the EMP: first, description of the mitigation measures, right, how they will be implemented, right, what are the mitigation measures and how are they going to get implemented. Second one, description of the residual environmental concerns after mitigation, how they will be managed. That is, after implementation of this management plan, there may be some uh, residual impacts on the environment, right? So how, what are those residual impacts, or there may be not impacts, there may be concerns for the people. So what are those environmental concerns and how we are going to manage that. Third is program for monitoring the environmental concern and indicators. Fourth, identification of the people who will be responsible for that and who will be accountable for the implementation of the EMP. Right, accountable means who is the person who is going to report to us that the plan has been implemented or it is being monitored or there are some issues with the implementation and so on. Developing a monitoring plan includes items to be monitored, when it is going to be monitored, frequency, that is how often it is going to be monitored, right, once in a week or once in a month, or and who is going to monitor it. Preparing cost estimate for implementation of the EMP, and finally identifying the source of funds as well as potential training needs. Right, so in some cases we need to provide training to the people to implement this EMP. In that case, who is going to give the training, whether the organization is going to give the training or they're going to get trained elsewhere from some other you know some training institute, and whether we need funds for that, for providing the training and so on. Importance of EMP: an instrument for implementing environmental management commitments, conditions, and requirements for the project. Promotes self-regulation, integration of environmental issues in planning and operations. Addresses relevant environmental management issues. Can be drafted in a consultative manner. Incorporates regulatory requirements meaning whether it is meeting some standards or some um, laws, right? So EMP helps in ensuring that it is meeting some laws and regulations. Facilitates environmentally sustainable development and decision making process, and it is able to form the basis for consultation and negotiation of outcomes. It is flexible, comprehensive, updatable, and a tool for promoting accountability. So basically what we are doing is, by making this EMP, we are actually ensuring that it is being implemented, uh, and we are identifying the person who will be implement it, and how often it is going to be implemented. I mean, not implemented, how often it is going to be monitored, and who is going to monitor it, right? So these are some things that are very important, or the importance of an EMP. Good environmental management means good project management. So you have an environmental component, along with it you have an engineering component, and it finally is linked with the social component. So all three of them are linked with each other. Contents of an EMP: brief introduction of the project design, major findings of the EAA or screening process, environmental impacts overview, statutory requirements or regulatory requirements, what is the EMP proposed, pre-construction, construction, operation for the meaning EMP for the pre-construction, construction, operation phases. So that is linked with the environmental management proposed, right? So pre-construction, construction, operation, they are all coming under that head. Then implementation arrangements, institutional arrangements, monitoring mechanism, reporting system, environmental training, and management budget. Some of the aspects covered are water, air, soil, noise, damage to flora and fauna, disruption to users, workers' accident risks, workers' health risks, including hygiene, enhancement of natural and man-made features. So this is a template for summarizing the EMP activities. You can see in the first one on the top. So it says which project stage, what are the project activities, what are the potential impact, and what is the mitigation measures that we are going to take, what are the institutional responsibilities, who is responsible for that, and what are the cost estimates. If you come to the second one, template for summarizing the training requirements of EMP. So uh, where it is mitigation or monitoring, right, who is responsible, right, and what is the strengthening program, what is the schedule of the program, what is the cost estimate. And when it comes to training activities, you have EMP implementation, redesign, conflict resolution, environmental processes, methods and equipments, environmental policies and programs. So who are the participants, what is the course all about, what is the content, what is the schedule, what is the time estimate. When we come to template for summarizing the monitoring of the EMP requirements, we have again project phases, what are the mitigation measures, right? So what are the parameters to focus on, what is the location, what are the measurements, frequency, responsibility, cost estimate. And the last one is template for scheduling and reporting, right? So first year, second year, third year, and first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. That is 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months in a year. What are the mitigation measures? What is, I mean, when we are going to implement the schedule, right? So when you are going to implement it for mitigation, monitoring, training, and institutional strengthening. So EMP adds more value. It reduces unforeseen issues, improves relationship with local communities, prevents delays and stoppages, prevents legal disputes, saves time and cost, provides good publicity, and reduces the financial costs. So EMP implementation in large and complex projects, we should technically establish environmental management unit as a part of the project management unit. Establishment and funding of the EME is essential for environmentally sustainable development of large and complex projects. Small projects like you know something like which is done in a particular locality, it requires environmental screening, scoping assessment, and an environmental management plan, but not an environmental management unit. So EMU is only for large and complex projects. Responsibilities of the project staff: preparing environmental screening or EE of the project as required, identifying major environmental impacts and respective mitigation measures, developing EMP for implementation of identified mitigation measures, work with project team to ensure mitigation measures are implemented, right, in terms of monitoring, preparing periodic monitoring and evaluation reports, identifying potential EMP shortcomings, revising and updating the EMP as needed, right. So thank you.
Thus, we come to the end of this session. Thank you for your participation. Looking forward to meeting you in the next session.